Theme, Archiving for Creativity. Date, December 1st to 7th, 2018. Featuring film screening. Submission of entries for competition and screening is ongoing and closes September 30th, 2018. All entries should be forwarded to the festival director, Zuma Film Festival Nigerian Film Corporation headquarters in Jos, and/or its zonal offices in Abia, Lagos, Kano, Asaba, Yola, and Abuja, or through the Film Freeway online platform www.filmfreeway.com. For further inquiries, call 08033146842, 08052728321, or 08063390420, or visit the website www.zumafilmfest.gov.ng. Zuma Film Festival 2018, December 1st to 7th, Abuja, Nigerian's foremost film festival.
And I remember for March, where all of us come outside and vote, we vote for people where we say they go represent us for inside government. Where? So vote, others do election observers, some serve the polling officers. But it never finish. Make we come together, arrange or join association where we go fit discuss matter where go make we lives better, go give the people where we vote for inside government. Make we get involved.
Take measures to ensure no Nigerian student is stranded abroad. A directive from President Buhari to relevant ministries as he receives new ambassadors to Nigeria. Yusuf Magaji Bichi appointed as new Director General for the Department of State Service.
We have touched work infrastructure and we have gone into health.
This decision was taken after endorsement by over 20 associations and groups.
And more aspirants pick expression of interest forms. Good evening. I am Kenen Emma Abolike in Abuja. Dotun Ogunyemi is in our Lagos Network Center. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Ministries of Education and Foreign Affairs to take necessary measures towards ensuring that henceforth no Nigerian student gets stranded while pursuing education abroad. The president gave the directive while exchanging views with the new High Commissioner of Malaysia to Nigeria, Gloria Peter Tiwet. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
The Malaysian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Gloria Corina Peter Tiwet, was in the State House to present her letter of credence to President Muhammadu Buhari to formally assume official responsibility in Nigeria. The problems Nigerian students face in Malaysia dominated their discussions, with the president assuring the Malaysian government that issues relating to their documentation and welfare will be properly handled to avoid hitches. He said instructions have already been given to the Ministries of Education and Foreign Affairs to resolve all the problems relating to Nigerians studying not only in Malaysia but other countries, especially on visa and other documentation requirements. Mrs. Gloria Tiwet, who promised to ensure that all outstanding issues are taken care of, said the process of improving relationship in trade, education and capacity building between Nigeria and Malaysia had started. President Muhammadu Buhari also received the letter of credence from the ambassador of the Republic of North Korea, John Tong Chol. He described the opening of discussions between the North and South Korea as well as the United States as very encouraging to the ongoing peace efforts across the world. Similarly, the new ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago, Carlton DeLandro, presented his letter of credence to the Nigerian leader, who assured him of improved bilateral relations, especially in the shared interests of petroleum exploration. The three new envoys were earlier given a befitting diplomatic welcome by officers and soldiers of the Presidential Guards Brigade. In the meantime, a delegation of diplomats from Egypt, led by Sharif Ismail, presented a special message from the Egyptian leader Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to President Muhammadu Buhari. Neither the details of their discussions nor the content of the message were made public. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Central Bank governors of West African countries rose from the 37th meeting of the Committee of Governors of the region, restating the need for a single monetary policy framework and exchange rate regime for the prospective ECOWAS monetary union. Chimobi Walter Naji now reports.
Seated here are the eggheads of West African financial institutions who annually meet to review, modify and formulate policies that will promote the ideals of the sub-region. This year, the meeting focused on strengthening ways of socio-economic integration and gaining clarity on the workability and preparedness of member countries to adopt a single currency for the region.
Our discussion should identify existing or potential impediments to the realization of the deadline for the commencement of the currency union.
There is the belief here that harmonization of currencies of the different countries will help stabilize the regional economies and accelerate investment and trade, as well as minimize transaction costs.
A meaningful monetary union can only be attained through sustained convergence. It is therefore critical to continue to implement sound macroeconomic policies, structural reforms to remove bottlenecks.
The average performance of the zone improved during the year under review. The Gambia, Guinea, Nigeria attained 3 criteria each.
The outcome of the meeting is expected to get the attention of ECOWAS Commission and heads of governments. In Abuja, Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
The ECOWAS Commission is calling on aid agencies in the sub-region to synergize in dealing with humanitarian challenges in the region. This plea was made at the donation of relief materials to the Karamanjije internally displaced persons camp as part of activities marking the 2018 World Humanitarian Day. Ado Adamu also completes the story.
Kaltumi Abubakar, 48, currently lives at the Karamanjije internally displaced persons camp in the suburb of Abuja. She is among the over 900 IDPs living in the camp, having been displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency in Borno State for about 5 years now. The number makes up the over 65 million people currently displaced around the world, relying on assistance for survival.
Boko Haram pushed us. I'm running inside bush, and my brothers and sisters and fathers and mother are all already died. I'm running only me and with my children and sitting inside this Abuja and managing of food, no water, no house.
The ECOWAS Commission, during the visit, highlighted the need for continuous awareness on the plight of IDPs in the sub-region. While interacting with the IDPs, officials of the ECOWAS Commission pledged more support to member states to deal with the rising humanitarian issues.
Nigeria was supporting the Buhari plan, which is trying to find solution to the insurgency in the northeast, as well as provide humanitarian assistance to those that are directly affected. So the Nigerian government has the ECOWAS full support.
The items donated include foodstuff and clothing. In Abuja, Ado Adamu also, NTA News.
Now, the world on Thursday paid glowing tribute to former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, as his remains were laid to rest in Accra, Ghana. President Muhammadu Buhari was represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, who led Nigeria's delegation to the funeral. Foreign Desk correspondent Makut Simon Macham reports.
The world was literally in Ghana on Thursday to pay tribute to Kofi Annan, a man who over 8 years ago was born in a humble family in Kumasi, Ghana. Though the world took little cognizance of his birth, his death, however, unveiled the kind of impact the former UN Secretary General had made in his lifetime and the footprints he left in the sands of time. From the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to several heads of states or their representatives, the world stood still for this African icon who is no doubt in the Hall of Fame of great African sons and daughters.
Like few in our time, Kofi Annan could bring people together, put them at ease and unite them towards a common goal for our common humanity.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari was represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema at the funeral service held at the Accra International Conference Center.
You know, Kofi Annan's first wife was Nigerian, and Mr. President has written to the family and to the President of Ghana and expressing how proud and grateful we were for all he achieved as a son of Africa and of course as a son of Ghana, and that he's achieved well, not just for Africa but really for the world, and you know, expressing deep sincere condolences, and you know, our presence here today is testimony to the place that Kofi Annan occupies in our hearts in Nigeria.
The tributes could not be richer, with both members of his immediate family, former colleagues and associates describing Kofi Annan from their perspectives. Much of what he stood for in life was captured in the sermon by the former Archbishop of Accra, the Most Reverend Justice Ofe Okorofi. Kofi Annan joined the United Nations in 1962 as a junior officer at the World Health Organization in Geneva, from where he rose to the highest level of Secretary General, serving 2 terms from 1997 to 2006.
Kofi Annan represented one of the best minds that Africa could offer to the world. Now, as he's been laid to rest, legacies will continue to be discussed. However, the question is, who is the next Kofi Annan that Africa will offer to the world? In Accra, Ghana, Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State has expressed appreciation to a group of young professionals under the auspices of Nigeria Consolidation Ambassadors Network for significantly contributing to the re-election bid of President Muhammadu Buhari by purchasing nomination form for him. Speaking to newsmen after an audience with the president, the governor said the gesture by the group clearly indicates the level of appreciation for President Buhari's leadership and desire by the nation's majority for the Change Nigeria project to be consolidated.
More than happy, already I'm prepared to support President Muhammadu Buhari. They supported him since when he came out in 2003, and they have been consistent up to the elections of 2015. It was evident, and they are still consistent. Even last month's election has proved that APC was able to win overwhelmingly over the nearest opponent. So it's a clear testimony that the people of Katsina are 100% behind President Muhammadu Buhari. And you know, in 2015, he got almost 1.5 million votes from Katsina State. So we expect by 2019, we'll be able to give him additional 1 million, making it nothing less than 2.5 million, inshallah.
The governor, who lent his voice to the planned establishment of the National Electoral Offences Commission to sanitize the electoral system, said Katsina is ready for party primaries to elect APC flag bearers for the general elections.
Contentious in this. The constitution of the party recognizes consensus, recognizes direct, recognizes indirect. So whichever method is adopted, nobody is breaching the constitution of the party. So what is the big deal about it?
The federal government is working towards building the capacity of leaders to join hands with the government in setting the country on firm footing. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Religious Leaders Consultative Forum on Harnessing Demographic Dividend for Sustainable Development in Nigeria, the role of Muslim leaders, emphasized the need for collective responsibility in building a better future for Nigeria. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Gathered here to share ideas are more than 200 Muslim religious leaders from across Nigeria, development partners, civil society organizations, and members of the diplomatic corps. The theme focuses on the role of leaders of the Islamic faith in harnessing demographic dividend. The approach Vice President Yemi Osinbajo describes as inspiring and an expression of the acknowledgement of the general and specific roles that religious leaders have to play in the implementation of development policies and programs.
Ladies and gentlemen, as religious leaders, you play very vital roles in the social, cultural, and economic lives of the people. You shape attitudes, opinions, and behaviors of large numbers of our people. And there is no real progress or transformation that can happen in any society, and our society in particular, without your participation, without your involvement, and without your endorsement.
The relevance of the forum, as he says, is that leaders themselves need to be exposed to the prevailing policy issues, options, and ideas, and to test these ideas against their own beliefs, and also to discover ways to project these ideas.
Maternal, newborn, child health information across a large population.
This is objectives of Sharia, that is saving life, is objectives of the Islamic law.
There must be deliberate strategy to incorporate demographic dividend in national development strategies.
President Yemi Osinbajo, acting as the president in 2017, launched the roadmap on achieving demographic dividends in the country. And these religious leaders now are expected to provide the light towards achieving these dividends. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The People's Democratic Party says its ballot papers for the conduct of the presidential primary will carry the photographs of all the aspirants. National chairman of the party, Prince Uche Secondo, stated this in Abuja when he hosted the European Union team headed by Bridget Markusen. Timothy Yusuf was there.
The visit by the European Union team is to discuss preparations for the 2019 general elections with all the political parties and other critical stakeholders. Head of the EU delegation pointed out that the Union has worked together as observers in every election in Nigeria since 1999, and that the Union looks forward to working together to have a free and fair elections.
Jointly work together to strengthen also the process, the electoral process, the democratic institutions.
PDP National Chairman Uche Secondo intimated the team that works were ongoing concerning the compilation of the names of its National Convention Committee members. The 13 presidential aspirants, he added, would have nominees in all the committees that would be set up for the convention. At the National Secretariat of the Labour Party, the former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, declared his intention to contest for the office of President of Nigeria on the platform of the party. The national chairman, Abdul Kadri Abdul Salam, assured him of a level playing ground. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has commended Nigeria's youth for their desire to contribute to nation building in their various constituencies through active involvement in politics, while calling on them to make needed sacrifices to ensure the ideals they want to see in the country are realized. The Vice President said this during a meeting with young aspirants under the All Progressives Congress, APC, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Welcoming the youth, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo noted that the country's future depends on the commitment of young people who are willing to play their part and make positive differences, stressing that it was important to encourage young people to participate at all levels of the party. The Vice President described the action of the youths as courageous and described them as a group of people who have not lost hope, but are very determined to ensure that things work. He advised that young people should not lose hope in the country, as things would continue to change for the better if they remain committed to their ideals. Vice President Osinbajo further called on young people to stay committed and remain within the party to help to build the party's structures. He said leaders of the party would see what could be done to ensure that women and youths are more involved in party politics.
Politics is evolving, and you need to bring in a lot of young people on board because, of course, you know that the youth are the future of the country.
Because of the philosophy of Mr. President, philosophy of the Vice President, philosophy of the APC, we will not put our hand in the government treasury to pick money, to take money and fund our election campaign. We want to fund our election by ourselves.
Young aspirants in the All Progressives Congress across the country who attended the forum had requested for audience with the Vice President ahead of the party's primaries later this month. In the State House, Jide Onifate, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved with effect from the 14th of September the appointment of a new Director General for the Department of State Service. He is Yusuf Magaji Bichi, a core Secret Service operative. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity indicates that Mr. Bichi worked as the State's Director of Security in Jigawa, Niger, Sokoto, and Abia State. He was at various times the Director, National Assembly Liaison, National War College, National Headquarters in the Directorate of Security Enforcement and Director, State Service Academy. The new DSS boss is bringing skills and intelligence to bear on his new assignment. Is a political science graduate from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and received training in intelligence processing analysis, agent handling recruitment in the United Kingdom. Mr. Bichi is married with children. Now, with barely 9 days to the Osun governorship election, the Nigerian police force and other security agencies are collaborating with a view to stem out incidents of vote buying and other forms of criminalities during and after the election. Francis Form reports that the collaboration is to review progress against deployment of personnel to develop and collectively agree on deliverables and those responsible for them to enhance security management.
For April of this election that we conducted, to our mind and assessment, there has been some improvement. We're not there yet, but something is happening, and we intend to demonstrate proper capability, ability, transparency in the coming election in Osun.
We know we are ready, but this is one of those processes we have to go through where we have all the stakeholders to come together so we can be speaking in one voice.
INEC National Commissioner Solomon Adedeji Shoyebi says every election is built on a tripod of which the absence of any of the three legs automatically cripples the process.
Buying any form of material, either money or otherwise, is an offense.
Policing, security, all of that focuses around intelligence. That's the most important strategy that any security service needs to use.
In another development, the Global Peace Movement International commended the prompt action taken and the professionalism displayed by the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, on some of his officers and men over professional misconduct, saying it is a right step in the right direction. With less than 2 weeks to the Osun State governorship election, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, Brigadier General Suleiman Kazauri, has warned Corps members to be apolitical and security conscious. The Director General gave the warning during a visit to NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp in Ede, Osun State. Olainko Joe reports.
Some of the Corps members in this hall will be involved in the election as INEC ad hoc staff come 22nd of this month for the governorship election in Osun State. This is because the contributions of Youth Corps members have brought transparency, credibility, and fairness to the electoral process in Nigeria, a testimony from both local and international observers. Addressing the Youth Corps members at the orientation camp in Osun State, Brigadier General Suleiman Kazauri warned them to avoid any form of inducement from politicians before, during, and after elections. He reiterated that Youth Corps members' court will face the wrath of the law.
To be neutral, to be non-partisan, and they should
respect the rule of law,
and urge them to be security conscious.
We are in constant collaboration with all the security agents, police, army, and they assure us that their security is guaranteed during even and after election.
The NYC boss also inaugurated a 4-bedroom NYC clinic built through the effort of staff and friends of the scheme. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, who had earlier visited the NYC Orientation Camp Clinic, promised to provide the necessary facilities. Olayinka Uju, NTA News.
Ahead on the news tonight, Labour Minister explains the delay in the conclusion of negotiations for new minimum wage. Details after this timeout.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Taiyi suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around, or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
Every new day deserves a great taste for a great start with Nescafe 3-in-1. It all starts with a Nescafe.
This is my first experience riding this train. I've heard about it so much all around the city.
Actually, I'm surprised that such a development is coming to us.
I was impressed, so neat, and actually you can compare with any type of train, all over the world.
I could not imagine that I'll be going from Edo straight to the airport by train.
And the environment is so clean, and the ACs are cool.
I want to commend federal government for the initiative to provide these train services.
And I wish to laud the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in seeing that this project is a reality.
Please get ready to alight on the right side of the train. Thank you.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three
you are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah? I was...
You take that one. Yeah, take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have? You don't have?
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. to come to chocolate rice made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. The inability of state governors to come up with their figure for negotiation before the tripartite committee is the only issue delaying the new minimum wage. Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige said this while addressing the media on the ultimatum by the organized labour. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
We are at the tail end of tidying up the reports because we even proposed that that 4th and 5th should be the last meeting. When that process was being tidied up, he then came up with that position that the federal government team, they needed to be given time to consult, and no time was given.
That decision by the NLC to down tool over the new national minimum wage came as a surprise to many, especially the government. The union, however, says it is coming on the heels of the desire to end all issues on minimum wage before the 2019 general election. Labour and Employment Minister Chris Ngige, in a reaction to Labour's new position, says every aspect of the new minimum wage has been completed except fixing figures to be agreed upon.
If you put a figure that the state governments cannot pay, of what use is it negotiating? So they must come with a figure. If you put a figure that will make for the private sector to do retrenchment of people, what benefit is it?
Ngige is of the opinion that the principle of collective bargaining agreement only supports what an employer can afford, urging the organized labor to be patient and not make partners negotiate under duress.
Meeting the governors again. Tomorrow we are meeting with Mr. President to brief him, and by next week our economic management team will work on it and look at the various figures that are even in that committee. And they say, the federal government of Nigeria recommends this.
The minister, however, says negotiations will continue. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
43 pioneer medical doctors from Afe Babalola University have been inducted into the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. While inaugurating the students, the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja, urged them to add value to the medical profession, shun distractions from societal pressure, be guided by professional ethics and self-humanity.
Health is wealth. One of the people you can never lie to are your medical doctors. What they do to the society is very priceless. I want to implore each and every one of you today that very soon you will soon all be dispersed to this world. The graduating students have taken another leap to go into the world. For them to continue to proceed on how to better the lot of the entire mankind. As you have graduated today, make sure you can pick one or two that you will mentor them in anything you're doing.
The founder of Abuja urged the inductees not to compromise standard.
Our rules and regulations are too strict. You call me Baba No Wahala, Baba Old School. Because of our rules and regulations, we now find that Baba No Wahala, Baba Old School, has paid off very well. Is that correct? The point is, if you do not have rules, if you don't have regulations, and if you don't make it a policy, the rules are made to be obeyed in compliance and not in disobedience, you never make it.
Other speakers commended the founder of the university, Are Afe Babalola, for creating an enabling environment for the students and providing world-class infrastructure that will make them fit into the society, even at international level. Offsetting the backlog of salary arrears owed civil servants in Ekiti State will be the priority of the governor-elect Kayode Fayemi on assumption of office. Dr. Fayemi disclosed this while on a visit to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bose Mustafa. He expressed delight that Ekiti State is back on the path of development. Following his election and the good working relationship his administration will bring on board with the federal government, especially on the exploration in the solid mineral sector. Fayemi described as unacceptable the passage of supplementary budget of over 10 billion naira by the Ekiti State House of Assembly as submitted by the outgoing governor Ayo Fayose, who has less than 1 month to vacate office, as no illegalities will stand the test of time.
It is back to reckoning. Ekiti State is back to business, and the arrested development of the last 4 years is coming to an end, and we will need the support of all in order to realize our objectives of reclaiming the land and restoring the values of our people.
Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, congratulated the people of Ekiti State for re-electing Fayemi to uplift them to next level.
Experience from having served as the minister in charge of that area, he would come in, bring his experience and begin to lay a solid foundation even for the mining activities in Ekiti State. The areas of water, medical facilities.
Election in 20 sustainable development of views of speakers at a symposium organized by a political support group known as I Stand with Buhari in Abuja. Political correspondent Salihu Abdullahi reports.
The forum provided opportunity for members to once again strategize through sharing of constructive and quality ideas on how to sustain the achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari. Discussants analyzed two topics. One, on the leadership continuity, answer to transformation and sustainable growth. The other topic is developing effective coalition for leadership continuity of President Muhammadu Buhari. Governors of Kano and Bauchi states were around to make Nigerians more abreast of the scorecards of President Muhammadu Buhari and why it becomes imperative to ensure his return so as to consolidate those gains.
Buhari is constant in his character. He has a belief that Nigeria must change for better.
The foreign reserve was 27 billion. I don't know what magic he did. He has built up that foreign reserve to 46 billion and it's rising by the day.
The organizers say they remain committed to carrying the message across the country.
So what we are trying to do now is to give that vision. Let people know, those who has privilege to listen to negative informations, they should desist from it.
The group believe that President Muhammadu Buhari has justified his objective as a leader, which is evident in his doggedness in fighting corruption and insecurity, as well as boosting the economy. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Governor Mohammed Umar Jibrila has promised to provide more projects and evolve policies that will improve the living condition of people in Adamawa State. He said this shortly after submitting his nomination form at the APC National Secretariat to recontest for governorship seat in Adamawa State. Rayanu Bala was there and now reports.
Governor Mohammed Umar Jibrila, who was accompanied to the APC National Secretariat by well-wishers and elders in the state to submit his nomination form, promised to improve on the achievements so far recorded if re-elected. He said, APC is the only party that will guarantee positive change in Adamawa State, hence call on people of the state to vote for the party at all levels.
We have touched the growth infrastructure, and we're going into health, and we've been able to rehabilitate and construct about 4 major hospitals.
Some of the elders who accompanied him expressed satisfaction with the developmental strides of the governor and should be given another chance. In Abuja, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
The leadership style of the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima symbolizes his commitment for sustainable, peaceful coexistence among the Borno people. This gesture, some group of 7 members of Borno State House of Assembly, led by the Speaker, say needs to be sustained as they pick APC nomination form on behalf of the Governor to contest the Borno Central Senatorial seat in the 2019 election. Salihu Abdullahi reports.
Speaker Borno State House of Assembly Abdul Karim Lawan receiving the expression of interest and nomination form on behalf of Governor Kashim Shettima. They believe his wealth of experience, having served Borno State for 2 terms as governor and as a grassroots politician, need to be sustained this time around as a legislator for better service delivery.
This decision was taken after endorsement by over 20 associations and groups. That is the student associations, Borno marketers, women wing, traders associations, and also political associates have endorsed Governor Kashim Shettima for Senate 2019.
2 good terms deserves a reward, and that is why the entire people of Borno State, who are being represented by the honorable members, the 28 members of them, of which 3 each from the 3 senatorial zone, came here voluntarily to pick the form for him.
They enjoined the people of Borno Central Senatorial District to sustain the prevailing peace in the area and the state in general by identifying with Governor Shettima. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
As the All Progressives Congress continue to recruit more aspirants for governorship across the country, in Zamfara, a retired federal permanent secretary has indicated his intention to vie for the office of the governor of the state. Jamilu Ibrahim has the report.
Alhaji Abu Magaji's decision to join the gubernatorial contest in Zamfara state was obviously informed by a clarion call to that effect by a cross-section of people in the state who gave him a rousing welcome after his recent retirement from active public service as permanent secretary of Federal Ministry of Interior. The seasoned technocrat formally declared his intention to join the race on the platform of All Progressives Congress APC 2 days after he picked the party nomination form. Alhaji Magaji says he is determined to engineer the fortunes of the state through improved security, good governance and free education at all levels, as well as women and youths empowerment.
I intend to give free education, qualitative one, from primary to university to every indigent of Zamfara state.
Some staunch supporters who spoke at the event described Abu Magaji as honest and patriotic politician with a wealth of experience required to take the state to the promised land.
The styling qualities that is displayed in bringing together Zamfara state together. He's a man of honor, he's very patriotic, and is a man who loves his people.
The contributions he made, we know that has prepared him to come and bring his own experience to the development of of our state.
In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Lagos, the center of excellence, is where we go next for highlights of sensitization on flooding in the southwest region. Dotun is our guide.
Thank you, Kenneth, for joining us in Lagos. Medical experts say there could be a link between endometriosis, a disease that predominantly affects women of work class and reproductive age, and infertility. They are therefore prescribing more public sensitization on the condition, which affects 1 out of every 10 women globally. Hingenujan Adams was at the 2018 conference on endometriosis.
Omoyeni Ilawale was diagnosed with endometriosis 3 years ago. She says her journey through the ailment has been a painful one.
My personal experience has been the pain.
Medical studies reveal that endometriosis is one of the leading causes of infertility in women, with over 200 million women affected all over the world. For a disease so prevalent, not much is known about it. Olivia Nwankudu is a survivor of endometriosis and has decided to use her experience to impact on the lives of patients by creating awareness.
I went through so many doctors, so many procedures before I finally got to see a gynecologist.
In this hall are people like Olivia and Omoyeni, as well as others from all walks of life, who gathered at the instance of Olivia to brainstorm on ways to handle the scourge called endometriosis. These medical experts say the actual cause of the disease is not yet known, but could be hereditary. Some of the symptoms, experts say, include extreme menstrual pain, irritable bowels, pain while urinating, and difficulty in conceiving, among others.
We are able to assess laparoscopic surgery, which is the gold standard, and remove the endometriosis tissue or burn them off. Then that will be the end of endometriosis.
Participants at the conference believe that with proper enlightenment, Many women like Omoyeni and Olivia will be saved the excruciating pains of endometriosis. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Proper synergy between relevant government agencies effects of climate-induced disasters. This was the conclusion of speakers at a consultative forum on flood prevention, mitigating and preparedness in the Southwest. Joyken Abakboya has details of the event organized by the National Emergency Management Agency.
The world today is witnessing a rapidly increasing impact of flood disasters caused by torrential rainfall and its resultant loss of lives, displacement and destruction to properties and infrastructures. In Nigeria, flood has taken hundreds of lives and the death toll keeps rising. The Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency's 2018 flood outlook predicts that with the current water level in the River Niger axis and increased rainfall, Nigeria might face a reoccurrence of the 2012 flood that left destruction in its wake. This consultative forum, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says, is to discuss effective processes that would enable stakeholders at the state, local government, and community levels prepare to mitigate and respond to anticipated flood disasters.
We must work together assiduously to avoid the repeat of 2012 flood disaster.
Participants say apart from deaths and displacement, flooding negatively impacts on infrastructure, agriculture, and health.
We've been embarking on sensitization and awareness creation on how to do, what to do at the right time and at what time.
Where the highways are no longer safe in terms of flooding, the roads become impassable. Then it impairs on FRC's performance.
NEMA says measures are in place to effectively manage flood disasters, but they want Nigerians to adhere strictly to environmental regulations to prevent flash floods. In Lagos, Joyken Abakboya, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports ahead after this timeout.
This traffic is terrible. What is your map saying?
Oh, don't worry. The map says it will soon clear.
Ah, yes. That's good. Okay. Hey, driver! Hold! This bush woman. Madam, come on! See, this whole matter is you, Baro! Shut up! Onyara, you have carried your battalion to come and finish our food at the party. Baro! Wow! Let's get there before them. Driver! Shotgun! Okay. Go! Time for selfie! At the end, there's a T-junction. Behind that road, then there's another road that follows again. Bros, maybe you should turn around, eh? See! What? See! Driver! Driver! Yeah! Papa, you finally came. You want small chops? Food is finished. Don't you know that with Glow Augasti, I will always be ahead.
Glow Augasti. Get 125% more data plus 2,200% bonus on every recharge. The largest data network. Glow. Grandmasters of data.
Come on, boys. Come on. Look at this guy. Yeah, that's it. Fall back. Oh, this boy.
TomTom refreshes and sharpens your senses, making you come alive. Go for it with TomTom.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
I've got something for you. Clorex is the only gum that eliminates odors, giving you real fresh breath.
Welcome back. Nigeria is seeking the assistance of Egypt to fund infrastructural development. This was one of the issues raised when the former Minister of Egypt, Sharif Ismail Mohammed, visited Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola. Correspondent Usman Aliyu reports.
Diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Egypt dates back to 1961. Consequently, major Egyptian companies established themselves as strong players with investments in Nigeria exceeding $1.4 billion. Both countries want to further improve this relationship, and this visit to Minister of Power, Works and Housing by Sharif Ismail Mohammed, former Prime Minister of Egypt, who is now an assistant to President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, is offering an opportunity to renew cooperation for the development needs of the two countries. Infrastructure for social and economic development are the major issues discussed. These bilateral talks are expected to open up other potentials waiting for exploitation for the mutual benefit of Nigeria and Egypt. In Abuja, Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria FAN has reopened the runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, after a Gulfstream 4 aircraft overshot the runway while landing at about 8 p.m. yesterday. The aircraft got stuck on the end safety area, which led to the partial closure of the runway. The General Manager Corporate Affairs FAN, Yakubu Henrietta, however, assures airlines and passengers that the airport is safe for normal operations. Agriculture is a matter of food security. It is in this regard that the House Committee on Agriculture and Production Services put together a capacity development training for officials of federal and state ministries of agriculture. National Assembly correspondent Lamia Lee reports.
The training with the theme Repositioning Agriculture as an Alternative Source of Revenue Generation for Financial Buoyancy and Economic Independence in Nigeria provided a platform to bring participants up to speed on the state of the nation as a major player in global economy.
In 2016 alone, the demand for rice was around 5.2 million tons. But Nigeria was able to meet the demand for 2.3 million tons of rice, which were imported in 2016.
Chairman House Committee on Agriculture and Production Services, Representative Tahir Mungunu, said the commitment so far portrayed by the President Muhammadu Buhari administration to expand agribusiness in Nigeria through various interventions require effective legislation that will make the sector more vibrant to cope with global demand.
There is a paradigm shift of viewing agriculture purely from a developmental perspective to a perspective where agriculture is fairly viewed as a business so that it will generate a source of living, particularly for our teeming unemployed youths.
The First Republic depended on agriculture, and they did well. Nobody was singing corruption, corruption.
Matters brought under close examination as challenges of the sector today relate to access to land, fertilizer and loans among other inputs, all of which are essential to achieve maximum outputs and benefits. Participants at this workshop were in agreement that improving agricultural value chain from the point of research to production, processing and marketing will enhance the economic value of the sector. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, has appealed to state governments and private sector to assist the federal government in employing persons living with disability into the service to enable them contribute to national development. She stated this while addressing members of the Association of Physically Challenged Applicants in Abuja. And Debola Bruscless Sunday reports.
For several hours, these people who are physically challenged blocked the entrance of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation's office, accompanied by Permanent Secretaries, Career Management Office and Civil Service Commission. Mrs. Oyoita addressed the protesters.
I have a document.
After presenting their case, 6 members of the association were selected to form a negotiation team.
This allocation is something that's been in existence for more than 20 years. So I think it is now time for an upward review. The situation now is that all eyes are on the federal service to provide succor to these people, and they are Nigerians, so everybody should support us to make sure that they are able to be well employed.
We are sure that we will give our best if we are being considered, so we are happy, and I trust her and I know she will not fail us.
And in a twist of events, for one of the physically challenged, Eberendu Onyinyechi said her situation was worse before she got employed by the federal government.
The struggle is not going to be in vain. If after all that I went through, I'm able to secure a job now, I know it might just take a little time.
Chorusing this song of victory, other members who are waiting for their day like Eberendu Onyinyechi are counting down to when their dreams will come true. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Now to sports, where President Muhammadu Buhari charges the Tigresses not to let the country down in Spain as Golden Eagles battle Ghana Starlets on Sunday in Niamey. These are more with Tamara Ibiwe on Sports Update.
President Muhammadu Buhari has appealed to the female basketball team, the Tigresses, to avoid anything that will tarnish the image of Nigeria at this year's FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup in Spain. Sports Minister Solomon Dalung, while delivering the president's message, when the team, led by the Vice President of the Federation, Babs Ogun Ade, in his office in Abuja Thursday, urged the team that won the Afrobasket in Mali to surpass their previous records.
The president is appealing that we try to refrain from anything that would lead to tarnishing our images and the image of our country.
As the 2018 Under-21 Men's Volleyball Africa Cup of Nations entered the tree on Friday at the indoor court, Package B section of the Abuja National Stadium, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Solomon Dalung has expressed confidence in the ability of Nigeria to win the championship. The minister stated this while watching Nigeria's Pool A match against Cameroon, in which they rallied from 2 sets down to defeat the French-speaking country 3-2. Nigeria is one victory away from qualifying for the 2019 Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations in Tanzania after goals from Akinwumi Amao and Olusegun Olakunle secured a 2-1 victory over host Niger Republic in the regional qualifiers in Niamey Wednesday. The Garba Manu coach team thus set up a crunch final tie against Ghana on Saturday. With Sports Update, Tamara Ibiwe, NTA News.
Now a quick look at the weather picture across the country.
Hello and welcome to the weather forecast.